New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Well, hello there, my brothers and sisters. How are you today? Sorry, I was just making a note there. It caught me off guard. Hey, Ken Ludwig here on the Vibrant Living Hour on the New Thought Media Network. Hope you're having a fabulous day. It is Tuesday, and I guess when this goes into the podcasting world, I guess maybe it's easier to repeat the shows if I don't tell you the date, but too bad with that. It's the 5th, the 4th. I don't even know what day it is. It's the 4th of May. 2021. I am coming to you today from North Carolina, as opposed to my usual Colorado, and I'll tell you what I'm doing here, what that's all about. I will apologize right up front. When I put the glasses on today, I don't have the less glary glasses. I forgot to bring them with me to North Carolina. But anyway, I'll try not to wear them more often than not. So here we are. Beautiful day here in North Carolina. First, I'm going to start. That's a joke, by the way. I'm going to start with something that popped up today on my Facebook stream that is a very, very old favorite quote of mine, and I don't know why it popped up on my stream, but it seemed like perfect for just what we're all about, what New Thought Media is all about. And it's a quote from Marianne Williamson. It's the way of the miracle worker is to see all human behavior as one of two things, either love or a call for love. I have always loved that quote since the very first time I heard it. And it's really to treat one another from a space of love, always from a space of love. Every single thing that happens is either an expression of love or a call for love, or a call to love, depending on what the circumstances are. You know, when you see headlines in the paper, if you still read a paper, you see headlines on the internet. You see things that are going on in a place like India with the virus and the horrible devastation that it's causing over there. I saw something today. They're like 120 people a minute are dying or something like that. It's just incredible. Those numbers are staggering. That's a call for love. That's a call for love from our heart. It's a call for what New Thought Media expresses all the time. It's a call for prayer. It's a call for each and every one of us to just call up that higher consciousness, to call up that love energy that heals all. Love heals. Love always wins. We need to definitely express that out there, into the ether, from the heart, through the heart, into the ether, into the universe, to call the entirety of the country of India and all of its people to a higher consciousness of healing and health and immunity. And I also just saw that there's not just India, it's other developing countries as well are having huge surges. And if you know the science, I don't want to get into the science, but if you know anything about the science, you know that what viruses do is mutate. That's what they do. And it's almost sometimes I hear people talking about the virus, medical people talking about the virus, and scientific people talking about it in terms of almost like it has a personality, almost like it's volitional, like it knows what it wants to do, where it is, it's deciding how it's going to spread. And the best way to probably express that is it puts itself in a position or gives itself the advantage of being able to spread by mutating. Every time it mutates, it manages to find new hosts. Again, it's not volitional. I mean, viruses don't think; they don't decide where they're going or how they're getting there. But that's what it does in order to perpetuate itself. And if you can stop or slow down the spread of the virus, when you do that, you forestall its ability to mutate because it needs the time and the infections of more and more and more people. I just, Wayne Baldwin's on here with us today. Wayne, you know what? I agree. COVID weary. We're all a little COVID weary, and I think not to switch the subject really so much, but my wife and I have talked about this several times. We are both fully vaccinated. Lisa passed her, my beloved Lisa passed her 2-week window 4 days ago. And it's just, there's definitely a sense of exhale. There's just a sense of, we did it. We made it. But at the same time, I think it's important that we don't get too COVID weary and that we maintain a sense of vigilance around the things that prevent the virus from spreading, which is masks, washing our hands, social distancing, all of those things that we are COVID weary of, Wayne. I think that's important that we remain vigilant. Cheryl McDaniel, good friend, Cheryl, and good business partner of mine. Cheryl, good afternoon. Good to see you here. I'm glad you're there. So back to the idea of Mary Ann's quote: everything is either an expression of love or a call for love or a call to love. And again, as I said earlier, how you look at that. I think it sounds very simple to me, that quote, that idea, that expression, but I take it to be very, very challenging, because it's not necessarily the place where we all go. In any situation, we don't just go to immediately to love. Sometimes we make a stop in judgment first, right? Just kind of have a little judgment of this one, that situation, this situation, whatever, before we even think about going to love or going to prayer or going to raising consciousness. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. It's a challenge in my life. Obviously, I wouldn't be expressing this, but it's an interesting thing to contemplate. And it's, and I won't belabor this, but I'll just read it again, just to make the point. The way of the miracle worker is to see all human behavior as one of two things: either love or a call for love. Like so many of Mary Ann's great quotes, it has deep, deep meaning, and it really does. It speaks the truth in just that one sentence. So, as I said earlier, here I am, North Carolina. What am I doing in North Carolina? And interesting, some people know this, most of you do not know this, I'm sure. I'm the oldest of 9 children, and I have 7 siblings who live still on Long Island, which is where I grew up. Basically, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but I grew up on Long Island. And I have one other sister, one other sibling, my sister Susan. She lives in North Carolina with her husband, Steve. And this is where she raised my 2 beautiful nieces, Kristen and Jennifer. And my beloved Lisa also has her younger sister here, Amy. She lives also in North Carolina. So part of our coming to North Carolina was we got to see family that we haven't seen in a while. This is literally our first post-inoculation, post-vaccination trip. I was going to say earlier, I said, at least I'm going to call it the post-COVID trip, but it's not post-COVID because COVID ain't over, obviously. But the first post-inoculation trip where we actually felt like we could go somewhere. We got on an airplane and flew 2.5 hours to North Carolina. It was actually pretty painless and peaceful and very, very nice. People were, for the most part, respectful. People kept their masks on. There's always that person who's got the mask on under his nose. I have no idea what goes through people's minds when they think that that's doing something, but it's not. Anyway, it's, for the most part, people were very considerate, very thoughtful, and took care of themselves and took care of each other. We had a very nice lunch at the actually it was dinner time, but a very nice dinner in Denver International Airport, and with well-spaced tables. It's very interesting how they're doing the restaurant thing. This was really our first meal out. We did have back in the winter, we went to we have a timeshare up in Avon, Colorado, at the foot of Beaver Creek Mountain, and we were up there, and we actually went to a favorite coffee shop and had coffee and a pastry. That was really our only time that we did something, had a meal or anything, any kind of repast whatsoever outside of our own home in the last 16 months until this weekend. So, long weekend in North Carolina. It's really, we had heard so much about North Carolina being a beautiful state, and how, they have mountains. They have the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we decided we would go to the western part of the state and look at the Blue Ridge Mountains and see the area. And it's beautiful. It's lush. It's green. But let me tell you, it has rained since late yesterday afternoon. And of course, it's 3 o'clock Colorado time when I do the show, but it's 5 o'clock here in the East. And since about this time yesterday, I think, it's been raining, and a good deal of the time, torrential raining. I mean, like, have your windshield wipers driving into the little towns around here, have your windshield wipers going full blast and just being able to see through that. It has been raining hard. And I was hoping we could still hear the rain, but I think for the most part it's subsided right now. But you can see out this is our Airbnb, and this is the view out our window. It's literally behind our building here that we're in. This is a jungle, a veritable jungle, and a gazillion birds. I haven't heard this many birds singing and chirping and making noise pretty much all day long since the last time I heard anything like this was in Mexico. So it was really, it is very nice. It's a very nice place. The people are friendly. We've had nothing but good meals in little tiny restaurants. We've had great meals. It's an interesting place, but it certainly is. It's a real difference from living in the up against the foothills at the end of the Great Plains Desert, where we're just used to kind of pretty arid temperatures. We're used to when you go into the mountains, we're used to seeing aspen and every manner of evergreen. But that's about it. Not every manner of evergreen, but lodgepole pines and pinyon pines and the different kinds of pine trees that we have in Colorado, some Douglas firs, those kinds of things. But the only real deciduous tree we have is the aspen. So here, I can probably look out at this door here to our place. I'll bet you I can see 100 different species of green stuff and trees. It's really interesting when you're in a climate that's so wet. The trees there's a couple of trees out back here where the entire tree is covered with ivy all the way up to the top of the tree, covered with ivy. There's ivy everywhere, but it's a function of the wet and the lower altitude. Just the whole temperature, the whole climate of this is just so different from what we're used to. It's very, very, very interesting to be here, and it's great to see all the trees. So that's what North Carolina is all about. And I would suggest to anybody, if you have any interest in North Carolina, if you want to visit it, this really is a very, very pretty place to visit. And it's fun to go somewhere else. It's fun just to get the heck out of the house and take a trip. And I don't know that North Carolina was ever the first thing on our list, but here we are and enjoying it. And I think maybe enjoying it, like I said, more for just being out than for any other reason. We have another trip planned that's I'm really looking forward to. I have never been to Hawaii, and the end of June, we're going to Hawaii for 2 weeks. I can't wait for that. We have good friends that own a house out there that have been trying to get us to come to Hawaii for years, and we're finally going to make that trip. So that's exciting. Wayne, there is life outside the apartment, that's for sure. We call this the cave. We're in a building. There's like 14 very eclectic little units in this building, and we're on the back side of it. So and there's only like 2 or 3 units on the back side here. And we're on the lowest level. There's 3 levels. There's only 2 from the street, but there's 3 when you come around the back here. And everybody on the other levels, out their front door is the street. Our front door is this jungle behind us, which I'm finding fascinating. I've spent a lot of time just this little patio out there. Last night, Lisa and I just sat in a couple of chairs. There was a period where it stopped raining for about hour and a half, and we just sat out there and listened to the birds and looked at the trees and chatted about how much we were enjoying our time here. So it's New Thought Media, positively inspiring. Sitting out there on the patio and looking out at all that was positively inspiring, without question. So the next thing, of course, is, I don't want to leave this out, is the back update. And I didn't bring the bottle out here. I wanted to show it to you, but I have upped my usage of my CBD oil and I never stopped really reading about CBD and the endocannabinoid system and the benefit to the human body of ingesting cannabinoids, topically using cannabinoids. Your whole body is just waiting for the benefit of cannabinoids, and I've explained that before, but just briefly, each and every one of us, we have an endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system, very, very briefly, it's a very complex series of receptors on literally almost every single cell of your body. So in essence, every cell of your body has receptors for the benefits of the cannabinoids that come from the cannabis plant. Now, the system is called the endocannabinoid system, endo meaning within. So there's actually, this system is within your body, and you actually produce some cannabinoids. We get cannabinoids from oddball places. We get some cannabinoids from broccoli, some from black pepper. Your first experience of cannabinoids was actually in mother's milk. So I've got this. This is funny. I got the door open. We haven't seen any bugs in this place ever since we've been here. We've had the door open because it's so refreshing. Just before I started the show, I have a fly was buzzing by the screen. I don't know where the heck he went, but now I got a mosquito about the size of a B-52 flying around me here. So if I swatted him, you'll know what happened. So the endocannabinoid system was discovered in the early 1990s as a direct result of studies on THC. THC is tetrahydrocannabinol, which is just one of over 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. But THC, for those of you who know, is the only part of, or the only cannabinoid that actually has a psychoactive effect. It's the one that gets you high. Doing studies on THC, scientists discovered this endocannabinoid system. So it was in the early 90s. So literally the science on this is only 30 years old. Tells me two things. Number one, the science, first of all, if you pay any attention to it, it's growing exponentially. Like day in and day out, the science just grows and grows and grows. But the other thing is about how little we know about the human body and what benefits it. And it's interesting that as time goes by, we find more and more and more that natural substances, plant medicine in particular, plant nutrition in particular, has tremendous benefits to the human body, considerably more than pretty much anything we concoct. And there's so many examples of that. I was just about to give you some examples, but I won't do that. I'll spare you that. But there's lots and lots and lots of examples of different substances, plant-based substances that have been used medicinally for literally 4 millennia. I mean, people were growing hemp and using it medicinally long before the time of Christ. And what I understand is Thomas Jefferson grew hemp, George Washington grew hemp. They lived agrarian lives. They grew a lot of things, but they grew hemp. Hemp has the capacity to replace literally every bit of the plastic that we use in the world can be made from hemp, and instead of being something that is defiling the planet for the rest of eternity, something that is biodegradable. It can replace wood. It can replace anything we can do with oil. It can pretty much replace that. It can be turned into cloth. You can make clothes from it. You can do so many things with hemp, and it is a totally renewable crop in that it grows magnificently fast and can be replanted. And you know what? One of these days I'll bring to the show the numbers. But when you talk in terms of making simple things, simplest of things, toilet paper. Making toilet paper, use a fraction of the hemp that you need compared to wood to make toilet paper. And again, totally renewable as opposed to deforesting the planet for whatever crops that we want to grow. So yeah, so back to all the way back to the endocannabinoid system and CBD. CBD has, to my way of thinking and to my experience thus far with it, it helps almost everybody with sleep. It is an absolute miracle when it comes to stress and anxiety. And for a great many people, it is a great pain reliever. Now, the interesting thing about it is there's no dosage. Because the receptors are on every cell in your body, you really need to play with it. You need to dose yourself to the extent that it interacts with the receptors in the area where you need it to interact when we're talking about pain here, okay? What I discovered on myself was that the pain in my back, the sciatica, in my right side, and it's minor on my left side, but I went for a year and a half with it on my left side. That was really just, it wasn't agonizing, but it was annoying as heck. And my right side has been a couple times has been just, it's been almost bring tears to your eyes pain. But I've been using the CBD religiously since I've been trying to work on this. And those of you who've been following this tale know that I was given I took x-rays. X-rays showed that I have a little bit of slippage in my SI joints, my sacroiliac joints, and I have debilitating, I'm experiencing degeneration of some of the discs in my lower spine. Actually, in most of the lower half of my spine, and some to the top as well. From what the doctor tells me, the evidence appears that this is just simply age-related, but it's not something that that it's going to get better if you don't do something about it. So I've been working on meditation primarily, doing a lot of the Joe Dispenza work. As far as, that was an attempt to grab that mosquito. I was trying to be very stealth, but that didn't work. Is he still flying around? Doing the Joe Dispenza work, and to touch on that briefly, in his original book, Evolve Your Brain, pages 15 through 30, describe his catastrophic accident during a triathlon when an SUV came through an intersection with when he was on his bicycle leg of the triathlon, punted him off the bike and shattered basically the entire lower half of his spine from T8, which is really right in the middle of your spine, all the way down through L5, which is the entire lower portion of your spine right to your pelvis. All those vertebrae were crushed. Bottom line was, he rebuilt his spine himself nutritionally, and I don't know any other way to say this, but with his mind. He did it through lots and lots and lots of meditation, focusing on, he's a chiropractor by education, so he knew the bones really well. He knew the spine, and he could restructure visually. He could envision rebuilt bones and discs and the whole 9 yards. The end of the story is that in 10 weeks' time, he was up and around. They told him he might never walk again if he didn't have an operation. He was up and around, and in 12 weeks, he was seeing chiropractic patients again. So that's a pretty phenomenal story of someone healing themselves. For all intents and purposes, the majority of what he did was the power of the mind. So that has been my pathway, is I have been, every single morning in my meditation, I rebuild, regenerate, and rehydrate the discs between the vertebrae of my spine. And I'm working on relieving any irritation, agitation, and inflammation is the expression that I use for my sciatic nerves. Started increasing my dosage of CBD. And in fact, to the point where I have, waiting for me back in Colorado, just got delivered 2 days after we left, the highest dosage of CBD that I represent, which is 1,500 milligrams. And I know several people who use that for pain and have had amazing results for pain relief. But I've been using my lower dosage, my 750 that I normally use. I've been using that, just more of it. And without question, it has led to an amazing cessation of nerve pain in my back. Now, I also want to give credit to the mind work, because there have been several mornings when I sat down with a little bit of pain and stood up with none. And that's, again, focusing on that, eliminating the inflammation primarily of that sciatic nerve. So those are two of the biggest pieces of the puzzle. I take a couple of pain, Tylenol PM. I take 2 of those before I go to bed at night. I've been taking them because I just don't want to, it's hard to fall asleep if there's any pain. But lately, since I've been here in North Carolina, believe it or not, I've gone to bed with very little pain, awakened with almost none every single day. That brings me to the next piece of the puzzle. And this is something to pay attention to. It's something I just didn't pay attention to. I didn't really give it wasn't even on my radar until, I don't know why. And I don't know when it got on my radar. But I have a Tempur-Pedic mattress. I bought Tempur-Pedic mattress when it first came out, the original memory foam mattress, and I fell in love with it instantaneously. That's the good news. The interesting news is it comes with a 20-year guarantee. That's pretty darn good. You got to figure, if something comes with a 20-year guarantee, it's probably good for a whole hell of a lot longer than that. Well, maybe not so much, because I've had mine for 25 years or more. And I think it is a monumental contributor to the sciatica and maybe even to the slippage in my SI joints, because I've slept on a hotel bed and on this bed here in this Airbnb. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're the same mattress. I will know before I leave North Carolina what kind of mattresses both of them are, because we're going back to the hotel the night before we fly out of here. So I'll sleep on the same kind of mattress again. But I wake up almost entirely pain-free first thing in the morning. That's phenomenal, and that's something we all have control over. If you've got back pain, that's really come as you've grown older or for no reason whatsoever, I would just strongly suggest to you, check what you're sleeping on. Check your mattress, because it may be doing you more harm than good. So there's the additional piece to working on my back. Right now, I'm feeling as good as I have felt since this first started happening, which was probably 2 or 3 weeks before I went for the x-rays, which was, what now, 3 weeks ago. I wish I should have paid more attention to dates, because I think they become important as time goes by, and the work that I'm doing on rebuilding my spine is making a difference. The mattress is helping without question. It's helping the sciatica. The different mattresses are helping the sciatica. I think they're helping with the SI joints. They're certainly helping with any pain in my lower back, but still in all, I am experiencing those degenerating discs, and bed, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't have a whole lot to do with what's going to go on there. So I'm going to work on that. And again, I'll keep you posted, because I think it's important to understand that if you read enough people like Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden and Dr. Bruce Lipton, if you read those guys, you'll get to understand that you're in charge. You're in charge. You know, we're not a victim of our genetics. We are absolutely more in control of even how our genetics unfold than we actually know, than we actually believe, or maybe even than we imagine. You have the ability to focus. We have the ability. I think I read this from Dispenza's book. In one of the four coincidences that he refers to, as far as the people who he studied who had spontaneous healings, the coincidences that they all had in common, and one of them is the last one, I believe, is that we have the capacity to focus our attention in such a way and so intently that we can absolutely lose complete track of space and time. You get into a meditation routine around that kind of thing that I'm doing with regenerating and rehydrating those discs in my spine, you definitely lose track. I do lose track of space and time as I get completely involved in what I'm doing. By the way, I've said it twice now, and I'm going to have a swig of water myself. Some of the things I've learned in studying all this is that the discs of your spine are the majority of the disc itself is really water, and they rehydrate at night when you sleep. In order to rehydrate, they got to have plenty of water. So drinking your water is, like, for so many other reasons, drinking water is hugely important for your spine health. Who knew? Who'd have thunk, right? But again, important, very important. And it's, excuse me, as my doctor mentioned to me that, as I said before, that the degeneration of the discs appears to be mostly an age-related thing, that just about everybody goes through it to some extent. Although I'm sure there are things, weightlifting and other things that I've done in my life that probably were not particularly beneficial to discs remaining whole. But as an age-related thing, my doctor said to me in my last conversation with her, she said, I love the fact that you're so positive and so proactive about making this happen, because so many people get the pain, first of all, but secondarily find out it's spine and degenerating discs, and they get all disgruntled, and you get disgruntled and you start to get depressed about those kinds of things. It's only going one way, man. That's spiraling right down into the toilet. That's not getting better. That's only getting worse. So that's all part of the same puzzle, right? And it plays into something. This is interesting, man. My beloved Lisa has an older sister and a younger sister, and her older sister Pam is she's close to my age. She's not quite my age, and she 2 years ago, in 2019, for my birthday, she got me she shares a subscription with me to a magazine called Growing Bolder. And along with that, she sent me a book, Growing Bolder, by a guy named Mark Middleton. Mark Middleton has an interesting history. I won't tell you his history, but he was an on-air news person. I think a weatherman maybe. And I want to address something that came up in the comments here. So let me just stop right here. Lee Kurtz, who is someone I know from forever, says she had to give up CBD due to an upcoming drug test. She was using it for sleep and pain, and it appears even a small amount of THC and CBD that there is in CBD, and if used regularly, THC shows up in drug tests. My knowledge about this is really very interesting. Most CBD that's going to be sold in the United States is called full spectrum. Full spectrum CBD has a content, a THC content, of 0.3% or less. That's 0.3% or less THC in order to be legal. And you pretty much find that distillation, if you will, everywhere. But there is another kind of THC, and God Almighty, getting tongue-tied here on my radio show. That's not a good time for this, is it? The other distillation, if you will, of CBD is called broad spectrum. Broad spectrum is THC free. So Lee, my dear friend, God, how long have we known each other? I taught Lee's daughter I taught her metaphysics on Sundays at our spiritual community, Mile High Church in Denver, Colorado, Lakewood, Colorado. I taught her daughter, I don't know how many years ago, because I haven't taught in the teen church now in probably 8 years. But anyway, Lee, please get with me. Let's get together. The Tylenol, of course, you're back on Tylenol for pain and maybe helping you with sleep. But the thing to do is get rid of the Tylenol. I mean, Tylenol has its own effects for other things. Anyway, so she just put in the comments, we've known each other since 2006. And that's about when I started with the teen church. So yeah, we've known each other since pretty much the beginning of that. And anyway, we're only here for a few days, Lee. We're coming back Thursday morning. It's Tuesday now. But anyway, there is this other CBD. So I would hope that maybe you and I can have a conversation when I get back to Colorado. The broad spectrum CBD is THC free, and it's for two things. It's for the very rare allergy to THC, which some people have, and it is also for anyone who takes a super sensitive drug test. There are drug tests that won't ever pick up the small amount of THC in full spectrum CBD, but there is no drug test that's going to pick up anything from the broad spectrum because there's no THC to detect. So that's that, and you still get pretty much all of the benefits of pain relief, sleep relief, and mitigation of anxiety and stress. So I'm glad you asked that question, Lee, because it's a legitimate question for people. There's lots and lots of people could benefit from THC. I keep saying that, from CBD. They can benefit from CBD, but they're afraid of the THC because they're drug tested, and you can actually get the broad spectrum with no THC. So I don't want to. That's enough about that. I'm starting to repeat myself here. So anyway, go back to Mark Middleton's book, Growing Bolder. He talks a great deal in the beginning of the book, and I've only read the first 6 chapters. I read them on the plane on the way here from Colorado, and he talks about ageism, basically, and it's probably the ultimate accepted prejudice in our country in particular. We just have a built-in prejudice towards people who are growing older, and it's in everything from all the advertising, all the media. is all focused on the young. He was, I mentioned, he was an on-air news guy. I think a weather guy, and he talks about the fact that he was on the air, I think, till he was 55 years old, and he thought that was a very big deal because they were always looking to get rid of older guys who were making more money, or older people who were making more money, and bring in younger people who work for peanuts. But also because they were looking to attract, I believe it's the 18 to 35 demographic. And he's talked about the idea that this fascinates me. Talked about the idea that the 18 to 35 demographic has a fraction of the disposable income of the baby boomers, which are people who were born from 1946 to 64, I believe. We have greater disposable income than virtually everybody, except for maybe the not the millennials, the what's right behind us. I don't remember the Gen X, Y, Z, whatever the heck it is. But the generation right behind us now they're in their prime earning years. So they have a lot of disposable income, but they also have lots and lots of expenses of the middle class and raising families and owning homes and those kinds of things. So by and large, baby boomers have a tremendous disposable income. And Mark was talking to the powers that be, his bosses, whatever that was, and they were saying, we don't need to appeal to the baby boomers because that's our solid audience. They're never going to leave us. What we need to do is attract the younger audience. Well, you're attracting the audience for one thing, and that's for advertising dollars. And why not spend your advertising dollars directing your advertising towards the people who have the most income to dispose of baby boomers? So interesting that was part of the conversation. But what he started to understand and started to explore was this underlying ageism that is everywhere, that is part of our culture. And he talked about the worst ages, if you will, are aging people, older people. And the reason for that is because we have so many ingrained ideas from getting to this age on the deterioration of aging, the debilitating effects of aging, the disease effects of aging, all of those experiences that we put all the people who are aging in this box of they're on their road. From here, it's downhill. All right, well, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We have to learn to do things differently as we grow older, especially in this day and age when there is so much to do. So many people, you've heard this a million times, so many people retire and drop dead in 2 years or 3 years. We're living in a time in history in the United States where the average age is declining. That's never happened before in the United States. It's happening now. It's happening now because we've become more sedentary. We have more lifestyle diseases. You know, the big three: diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Those are all lifestyle diseases, primarily lifestyle diseases. People start to grow older and they go home and they plunk their ass on the couch and they get out the clicker, or they're here, right, in the phone. Just amazing. We went out to breakfast this morning and in this little cafe, and Nana's Cafe, and we had a great, just very simple eggs and bacon breakfast. It was really good. Several single older men came in and sat down to have their breakfast by themselves, and every single one of them was in their phone in like 30 seconds, which fascinated me. They were all guys older than me, and those of you who know, those of you who don't, tough. I'm not telling you how old I am. You can figure that out. We have to learn to be. We don't have to do more. We have to be more. We have to learn to do things like meditating, if we haven't up till now. What's the old expression? You have to meditate 20 minutes every single morning. Unless you're really, really, really busy and really stressed out, then you need to meditate for an hour. But it helps you to build the resiliency of mind to deal with those speed bumps. When you get older, stuff happens. There is a tendency for parts of the body to not work as well as they did before. But there's almost always a pathway to make them work better. There's always a pathway to get more exercise, to, one of the most surefire ways to forestall the aging process without any question or doubt. One of the most surefire ways to forestall the aging process is to continue to build lean muscle tissue on your body for the entirety of your existence. How do you do that? Pick a way, man. Pick a way you want to do it. Walk. A 30-minute walk every single day has amazing benefits, in particular as we get older. You know what the number one preventable, what's the word, circumstance or occurrence is for older people? It's falling down. And how many people do you know or have heard of that my mosquitoes bite back if you saw them go by here? They fall, they break the hip, and within X amount of time, they pass away. The broken hip seems to be like the death knell. I know what happened to one of my grandmothers. My last grandparent to be alive, actually. She was ill to begin with, but she fell, she broke her hip, and she was never the same. She just continued to deteriorate. And it was really about the fact that she didn't know any better. The hip thing is big, okay? You need your hip joint to do just about everything except lie down. I mean, you can't sit without a good hip joint. You can't do any kind of motion. But in order to avoid falling, walking is tremendous exercise for that, because walking helps with your balance. It helps with your core. Keeping your core strong will help you to keep from falling down. Part of your core is your glutes, your butt muscles. Keeping them strong will help to keep you erect and help to keep you from falling down. It's amazing how much you use your glutes. You use them for everything, man. You really do. And I've read a study. Wasn't a study. I'm sorry. It was a doctor telling a story. A doctor by the name of Dr. Luca Moretti. Was it Moretti? I think it was. He is the kind of the discoverer of what's called MAP, the master amino acid complex or pattern, which is the 8 most essential amino acids in the perfect pattern, the perfect mixture, the perfect sequence is the right word, I believe, for building muscle. And it's a tablet. It's about that big, and I take them every single day of my life, actually, because they're the only thing that has ever been shown to increase muscle tissue without exercise. In fact, it's the only thing that's ever been shown, clinically shown, proven to reverse sarcopenia. Sarcopenia sounds like a disease to me. It always sounds like some dread thing. Sarcopenia, oh my God. Sarcopenia is very simply age-related muscle wasting. It is a process that we all go through, and it can start as young as age 25, where we can lose as much as 1% of our lean muscle mass to fat, or just lose it. Right? And Dr. Moretti was told several stories, one of which always fascinated me. It was about a guy in his 80s who had lost all of the muscle tone in his glutes, and he could not stand because he had no muscles back there. So basically, those glute muscles help to tie your hamstrings to your lower back. And if you got no muscle there, it's hard to keep everything moving. And they put him on a regimen of this master amino pattern. And in 5 weeks, they had him out of a wheelchair and walking around. So it's something I take every single day. And any, as I've said before, any products that I mention on here, check with me if you're interested in them in any way, shape, or form, because a lot of them are products that if I use them and I love them and I get benefit from them, usually I wind up representing them in some way, shape, or form. So I can always manage to get you the best deal, probably. And if I can't, I'll tell you. But in any event, that particular product, that amino product, is to me, it's a mandatory. It's one of those things that I'll take till the day I die. But that is, again, helping to keep the core strong and keep the muscles building over the course of your lifetime, so that you can help to forestall that aging process and back to falling down and standing upright and being able to take a different path with your life. Walk. just walk, and that'll help to build the muscles and help you to maintain all of that. Kind of a it's so easy when you talk about this ageism thing and growing older, and that, which is what Vibrant Living is all about. This is the Vibrant Living Hour. It's about just that. And I have a Facebook page. My beloved Lisa and I have a Facebook page called Vibrant Aging. We tie the two together. Vibrant Living and Vibrant Aging are the same thing. Vibrant Living is about what you do from the time you get conscious enough to pay attention to taking care of your body in your 20s or 30s, all the way through till the end. That's Vibrant Aging. So it's Vibrant Living leads to Vibrant Aging. You have to take care of you. If you take care of you, then you're in good. You'll wind up in better shape. You'll wind up feeling better, living longer, and you won't get into that ageist mindset of the deterioration, which is what I'm really talking about here. That is, we get all that information from the previous generations, by the way. Previous generations, your grandparents, your parents, if you're my age, my parents are gone. My grandparents are long gone, but they did not have the benefits of some of the medical advances that you and I have that never existed back then. In fact, very simple, just that product you just talked about, that master amino acid pattern, that didn't exist back then. So there's so many advances, so many things that we can do medically, but also we can do naturally. We know the benefits of eating more fruits and vegetables, of a plant-based diet. We know the benefits of that. We know how it works. Part of Vibrant Living is to make sure you're giving your body the absolute best fuel that you can give it, so that it can operate at its most efficient, most effective level. That's, if you're eating compromised food, don't be surprised by your compromised health. It's really simple. And people, we've all heard the story, for years and years and years and years and years. You would hear that if you can't pronounce the ingredients, don't eat them. Okay, well, here's a bigger piece to that. Your body doesn't recognize those ingredients, those chemicals. There are chemicals in our food that are not food. They're food-like substances that are designed to attract your tongue. Fat, salt, sugar, all please the tongue. So we're eating all these foods that are full of fat, salt, and sugar. And in too many instances, the fat is something artificial. You remember I'll never forget the first potato chip with the non-fattening fat. What was it, Olestra or something that was in there? Whatever it was. But the side effects, one of the side effects was possibly anal leakage. Well, I don't care what you're eating. If that's one of the side effects, I'll pass. Thank you very much. Anal leakage doesn't sound like something I'm going to enjoy. I don't care how good it tastes. I'm just looking. I'm looking here. My friend Lee put another thing in here, and she's working. She's kind of at the beginning stages of osteoporosis, I think is what she's saying, with osteopenia, which I think is the beginning of osteoporosis, and that she should be doing. The doctors recommend a small amount of jumping jacks or jumping rope every day, because the impact of those kinds of exercises, it stimulates the bone to grow and to strengthen. So thank you, Lee. That's an excellent piece of the puzzle. It's any kind of exercise is going to benefit you, but when you've got an issue like that, you need to see that little gray head that just went by there? That was Lisa. She's sneaking by. I'm in the hallway of this what we call the cave, our little Airbnb here. I think she wanted to go outside and she tried to crawl by and she didn't quite make it. But the exercising, again, keeps everything flowing. It keeps your blood pumping. It keeps your muscles flexing. It keeps your joints flexible. And I'll add something that most older people don't do. And if you've not been an exerciser all your life, this may not even be on your radar, but stretching is hugely important. Hugely important. I get to a point, at one point, when I first got sober, 33 years ago almost, one of the first things I did was go right back to something I did as a teenager, which was lifting weights. And I was lifting weights like crazy. It was my new addiction. Once I got rid of drugs and alcohol, I went to lifting weights. And I was pumping a lot of iron. And I got to a point I couldn't lift my arms past here. Literally could not lift my arms past here. And I couldn't run from here to that door you see behind me because I was so stiff. And a guy that worked for me taught me about stretching. And it is now stretching and yoga are the finishing portion of every exercise routine I do. Every time I lift weights, which I have not done since the x-rays, actually since before the x-rays when the pain started in my back. I'm going to work now. When we get back to Colorado, I'm going to start getting back to lifting weights. But I'm going to do a whole different thing where I'm not putting any serious weight on my back. So I'm going to learn, I'm going to do a lot of things that's some things that I've been doing, but I'm going to learn to do weightlifting on my back, lying on the floor and doing, bench presses so your elbows are on the floor as opposed to when you're standing, when you're, not necessarily bench presses so much as curls, because the flat back bench presses are great. And there's a lot of different reasons for that, but I'm not going to show it to you on this show. But again, just doing exercises that take the weight off my back, so I'm not doing anything about that might contribute to more degeneration of those discs in my back. So yeah, exercise is a huge piece of that puzzle for just stepping outside the ageism box. Learn to say yes. Boy, oh boy, when I first got that concept in my head, learn to say yes, all of a sudden that I realized how much I said no. It gets easy. We get set in our ways. There are certain things we do, certain things we haven't done, certain things we're not so sure we even want to do. But when someone invites you to do something different, say yes. And go do it. Give yourself some new experiences, some things to get excited about. Find your purpose. Now, I've been around for a long time. You keep saying I'm not going to tell you how old I am. It's not a secret. I'm 70 years old. I turned 70 in December. And I am actively pursuing doing different things. This show is one of those things. Those of you who have been listening, this is, I think, our 4th show. And those of you who've been listening know that I did a show for 5 years, an internet radio show back in 2008 to 2013. And I've come to understand now that I'm working with New Thought Media that what we were doing back then was just kind of ahead of our time a little bit. But it's something I've wanted to get back into for a very long time. And then Reverend Robert presented this possibility to me, and I leapt at it because this is something purposeful. This is something that gets me excited. This is something where I have things I can express to you. I have things that I can say that I think are of benefit, maybe some things that I know that you would like to know more about, those kinds of things. It just gives me a great platform to express. When you get a little bit older, and sometimes there's depression that comes around from boredom more than anything, or loneliness. What's the opposite of depression? It's expression. And that's what this is for me. Not that I was ever a depressed person. It's not part of my makeup, but this is expression, and expression, outrageous, courageous expression is one way you can absolutely give yourself some purpose and some real desire to do things in your life. Thank you, Cheryl. My friend Cheryl McDaniel here just said she's glad that I'm back on the air. She's someone who actually listened to my show way back, over 10 years ago, and that was when I started it. And thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. And it's good to be back on the air, and I love that. And I'm very grateful to Reverend Robert and the ability of to be with New Thought Media. I'm loving doing this show, even just 4 shows in. And the beauty of this kind of a setup is the fact that here I am, 1,800, 2,000 miles from home, and I can still do my show, which is really cool. I love that. So I go back to, I'm gonna give you some more updates on this. We're getting close to the end of the show here, but Growing Bolder, this book is extraordinary. Mark Middleton, it's Mark with a C, Middleton, and he actually has a Growing Bolder website, and it is exciting to know that there are people in that baby boomer bracket who are stepping outside the box, stepping outside of the norm, and creating things for us all to look at from a different perspective for the purposes of changing perspective. If you change your perspective, right? If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? Change the way you look at aging. I always talk in terms of I'm not getting old, I'm growing older. And the operative word is growing. Thus, Mark's book, Growing Bolder. Not older, but bolder. There are so many things we can do to alter that course that sometimes seems like it's a pre-planned course of work, retire, deteriorate, die. That's not the way it has to be. It just isn't. And so much of it has to do with how you treat your own presence. And I start every day, those who pay attention to me know, I start every day with what I call DSP, daily spiritual practice. It's meditation, prayer work, reading. I also include in that exercise and my morning nutrition, whatever that might look like. Some days it might be a bowl of oatmeal, other days it might just be a great big nutritious protein shake. But whatever it is, that's my daily practice. And it's all about taking care of me, taking care of the body temple, starting with what goes on between my ears. Again, to my doctor telling me that my positive attitude and my proactive stance on what's going on, what I'm experiencing with my back is going to make all the difference in the world. And I feel like it already has, because I was in a lot of pain, and now I'm sitting here talking to you and I have literally no pain. So the New Thought Media Network, we're here to just bring to the world love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. You can help us to continue to do this, to help us continue to bring the message, bring the prayer, bring the entertainment. Robert really has this thing completely designed to cover all the bases. Whatever you want to experience, you're going to experience. I'm hoping one of these days I'm going to be a DJ on a show for you with music, but we'll see where that goes. And just please go to newthoughtmedia.org. That's ntmedia.org. Click on donate. Give us a few bucks. We don't care. 2, 3, 5, 500, whatever makes it for you. But don't give till it hurts. Just give to help support this. If you're enjoying the shows, we would love to have you be part of this. Colette, thank you for being here. Wow, Colette Clark, another business partner of mine. Very, very cool. I'm thrilled to have her here. You can find me. You can email me at teamrockitnow@gmail.com. And that's rock it like rock it baby, not rocket ship. ROCKIT. teamrockitnow@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, just Ken Ludwig. You can find me under Coach Ken, Making It Out Alive, or, as I mentioned earlier, Vibrant Aging. And that's pretty much what we got for you this week. I hope you enjoyed that message about all of it, about North Carolina, about my back update, about the endocannabinoid system, and about growing bolder. If there's anything that I talk about that you have questions about, any of the products I mentioned that you want to know more about, if you want to know something about what do I do to stay in great shape and great health at age 70, please find me. I'll be glad to help you. I'll be glad to point you in the right direction, do anything I can possibly do to help you out. As always, I am immensely grateful for the great gift of your time and your attention. I wish each and every one of you all the love and blessings that the universe has to offer. Until the next time, namaste. Have a great rest of your day.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.